Well, I mean, I know coming into this, we had low expectations. A stock that was basically unchanged on a year-to-date basis here. But when you look at the guidance that they're giving for this new fiscal year, and well as some of the commentary that they're talking about with cost reductions here, does this sound like a turnaround to you?
It sounds like they're in the midst of a turnaround, and that's the really key here. And it really seems like they are executing on their plans. FedEx, a while back, had some issues with its execution of its strategic plans. Now it seems like it is really driving those costs out of its network. It's really focused on creating a new network for the future, really, because the type of freight that company is ingesting into a system has changed considerably over the last 5 to 10 years. Now, because of the growth of e-commerce, it's B2C, it's packages going to people's doorsteps versus, packages going from law office to law office. Packages to people's homes are a lot more expensive to deliver, and they're trying to kind of change the way they operate, where they're integrating parts of their networks where previously they were completely or mostly independent, that being their air network and their ground network. And now, you're seeing that being integrated, which is taking out significant costs in their business.
Right. You're referring to the consolidation of the express ground and services units. Lee, what does it mean then when we get a headline like we just did about FedEx assessing the role of FedEx Freight in the context of consolidating those different units?
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't had the chance to read the whole release this afternoon, but I would be surprised if it wanted to get rid of FedEx Freight, just because of the fact that it's a very good business. It's a less cyclical business, if you will, than maybe its parcel business. Right now, that industry is extremely consolidated with significant pricing power. We expect LTL carriers, less than truckload carriers, which what FedEx Freight is, to generate pricing of in the mid digits in terms of price increases. So, again, I can't really speak to it because I didn't read the full release yet. In the process.
Yeah, it's a scintillating release. A lot of jargon and everything else in it. Lee, in all seriousness, though, I am curious just about kind of the broader read. I know we were talking about this turnaround at FedEx, but is there anything we can extrapolate out of some of these numbers into some of broader economic conditions here? Is this sort of a support? Is there support, I should say, from the economy, from consumer spending, from business spending?
Yeah, I mean, net, I think it's kind of steady as she goes in terms of the economy. You are seeing some volume growth here, which is obviously a positive for the overall economy. FedEx touches a lot of businesses, and like I mentioned earlier, their market shift. Its market has kind of shifted more towards that B2C business. And so, what it is showing you is probably more or less a resilient consumer. And that's really where the growth is going to come over time, in our view, more so than its other businesses, especially, where we're in the economic cycle with low industrial production expectations and an ISM below 50.
FedEx has been a story centered around cost cuts for so long. And of course, they're still continuing with it. I just wonder at what point FedEx starts to cut into bone, not just get rid of the fat, but start cutting into the bone. Have we reached that point yet?
Oh, goodness, no. FedEx has a long way to go in terms of cutting out some of that fat. Probably before the last management change, I think the organization was extremely bureaucratic and top heavy. I think they're going about reducing headcount and really streamlining their operations. And the fact that they're willing to put the ground and air network, kind of combine them when it makes sense, that's a huge diversion over what the company used to say, call it 5 years ago, when they said there was a lot of value to have those separate networks. I think they finally realized that maybe the value is, combining those networks as much as they possibly can. And they're also changing the way they do their air network, where they're calling it, they're having a color-coded strategy where they have purple tails, orange tails, and white tails on their planes, and the purple tails are those shipments that are going, that need to be there the next day. Orange is kind of like, more deferred service, and white is freight that's going to go on third parties, and that will make a much more efficient network and better use of very expensive assets, those airplanes.